What's up, guys? It's EG here. We're going to be talking about how to break down your lake, how to graph it, and what you look for to find those fish offshore. And pretty much by the end of this video, you're going to be able to break your lake down and graph it and find fish offshore. Let's go. Okay guys, we're here at Lake Eufaula, right up under the train trestles, and I'm going to talk about how you graph your lake and how you find fish, brush piles, or anything like that at your home lake or anywhere you go for a tournament. So pretty much what we do is you pick a spot. Like right now I'm at the train trestles. I'll start right here and go all the way, and I'll pick a creek that I want to end at. And so I will try my hardest not to get on plane all the way to that creek. Like White Oak Creek's the one I would graph to on this lake if I was new to it. And so I'll start idling right here. I'll have my depth finders going, and I'll idle any little ditch, any little ledge, or anything like that that looks good to me. And once I find a couple places that look good and holding fish, then I'll be able to key in on what the fish are doing, and I'll be able to find several places all the way from here to White Oak on what them fish are keying in on. Let's do it. Alright guys, so when brush pile looking, you want to find any little ditch running into a flat. So we have a huge flat right here, a huge flat, and you want to see any kind of ditch running in here. And in those ditches is where the brush piles are. There's a brush pile right here. It'll look like just a fuzzy little ball right there in that ditch. And when you find one, you'll find a couple sometimes, because so many people are putting brush piles out. You can see an older brush pile right here, to where people renewed their brush piles. And when you get in these ditches, like on this main river, you have a big ditch running into it. Small ditches also. Idle this whole thing when you're brush pile looking. Any ditch will have brush piles, or any little, if there's a creek in this, idle that creek. If you see any kind of high spot on this flat, you go over there and idle it, because it more than likely will have brush on it. And you're pretty much gonna jump from flat to flat to flat all the way to your stopping point. And when you hit the stopping point, you work your way back, because you might have missed something. Alright, now when looking on ledges, you're going to want to find a steep drop, like on a point or anything like this. See, you have a point coming out right here. And you're also wanting a hard, rough bottom. And it's better to have timber on it. And you're going to just basically drive a straight line all the way down. And you can see this timber right on the side of the ledge. And you want to drive as straight as possible. See how steep that drop is right there? That's what you're wanting. And it's a hard bottom. You can look at my 2D imaging right here, and you can see how hard that bottom is. And that's what you want. This ledge right here don't really have any timber on it, but timber seems to be better at times of the year. So basically you just pick a ledge, go down it, and get you a part of the lake, and break that lake down into, if it takes 3 sections, do 3 sections. But whatever you think you can handle in one day, and idle, and never try not to get on plane, and drive straight as possible when you're idling ledges, and you'll be looking for those little white dots sitting on those ledges or brush piles, or sitting dead in the brush piles, whichever way. So I get a lot of questions about why I have 4 depth finders on my boat. 2 of these depth finders are not hooked to a transducer. They're just got power running to them. And those 2 depth finders are just mapping. They're used for nothing else but mapping. This is all my down imaging, 2D, and side imaging right there. That way I won't have to flip back and forth between the map and all 3 of those options on there. And the same thing with up here. So I can have a full screen of a map up here, and let's see. So that way this whole screen right here, I can be looking at what I'm doing, and then if I want to look at the fish, I'm looking at them right here. That way I'm not flipping back and forth between these 3 buttons trying to look at it and then have a small map, you know. Alright, so I have 4 depth finders, and how you link those depth finders together is you have an Ethernet box. So you run a wire from each depth finder into that box, and it shares any waypoint you want. So if I mark something back here, I'm going to mark it on this depth finder, which is side imaging, 2D, and down imaging, and it's going to transfer to this depth finder and both of them. That way I have the mark everywhere, all around the boat. And if I mark something on that front graph, it's going to share it to everything back here. That way I'm getting the waypoint all the way around the boat, and that way you're not sitting there punching on each depth finder that waypoint. Alright guys, that sums up the day on the depth finders, and make sure you drop down below and hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.